Climate change is accelerating. The melting of the polar ice caps is exceeding predictions that even came from a year or two ago. Within 30 years, 25% of all species are going to be extinct. Our civilization, as we've constructed it, is completely unsustainable. I mean, it's very confusing because we're in this affluent society. If you live in the modern world in New York, you still have everything you could want. You know, the fish comes right to your plate. You go to a restaurant, you can go and buy any fabric from any country in the world. You know, so it's very confusing to many people, I think, to begin to read about the fact that there are these tremendous changes happening to the planet. What I began to come to in my research was this concept of time being really central to the whole crisis that we're in. And that it's almost as if we've gotten hoodwinked into a wrong relationship to time. So the average person now is completely hassled and harassed and constantly feels like they're not able to finish their job and not have enough time for their kids and to do this project, and kind of drowning in this ocean of anxiety. And it's actually pretty interesting if you think about the metaphors we use when we talk about time. We talk about wasting time, spending time, having enough time, running out of time. Time is money. You know, so we're constantly thinking about time as this quantity, as something spatial that's kind of ahead of us, that we can somehow reach out and grasp. And every time we try to grasp it, it's not there anymore. And actually, the reason it's not there anymore is because time actually isn't like a spatial quantity. It's a kind of trick we've played on ourselves. In a way, it's very ironic, because you think about like the whole purpose of creating an industrial civilization and learning how to do all this stuff with technology and machines, you think would be so that we could take it easy, you know? So it's almost like some strange trick has been perpetrated upon us, that somehow we find ourselves outwitted by our machinery and by our industries. The modern way of thinking about indigenous and tribal cultures is that they were myth-based and superstitious. And it may be that cultures like the Mayans and other indigenous cultures did have their own knowledge system that was as meaningful as ours, but they were just interested in very different aspects of reality, different aspects of being and experience. I started as a secular materialist person, coming out of a whole like Freudian, Newtonian, Cartesian kind of paradigm. I began to accept that there was this whole dimension of the psyche that my world had negated and neglected to explore and think about. You can demonstrate sort of quantitatively and statistically that the biosphere is in terrible shape. You can demonstrate qualitatively and statistically that our technology is continuing to accelerate and change our possibilities. And this third aspect is about this kind of psychic evolution. This is something that can't be quantified or understood statistically. So somebody who has just a rational scientific mind is going to find it very hard to accept that there's some kind of change happening in the nature of the psyche. In my own life and in the lives of many people that I'm connected with, there seems to be an incredible intensification of psychic phenomena. One way I like to think about it is that it's almost as if the boundary between the psychic and the physical is becoming thinner. It's becoming more permeable. It's becoming subtler. The thesis that I ended up developing in my book, and I'm continuing to develop in my writing, is that we're on the cusp of a breakthrough into a new form or new level of human consciousness. And the way that I've come to see this period leading up to 2012 is a kind of a window of opportunity to catalyze a transformation in global consciousness. You know, we have a lot of fundamentalists in the US who are actually thinking about the rapture, Armageddon, but they're sort of seeing it in this very kind of literalist and negativistic and almost like atavistic way. The apocalypse is a term that it does actually literally mean like revealing or uncovering. So rather than being destructive, it's a time when everything hidden becomes revealed and available and uncovered. So it's a time when the ego has to give way to the self. So this apocalyptic process would be the coming of the self into conscious realization. You know, a lot of people, when they're confronted with this whole 2012 paradigm or concept, they can lapse into kind of passivity. It's almost been like, oh, if you just like trip, or you just like get into the mind calendar, or every now and then participate in a shamanic session, you're going to be okay. You're going to be like, quote unquote, saved when shit and fan meet each other. The way I look at it is totally different. I think that The shift is really about the individual taking responsibility for the whole planetary situation and actually really reorienting their psychic energy towards the positive process of transformation that is possible. The philosopher Nietzsche talked about how the deed creates the doer, almost as an afterthought. So it's actually by doing the deed, by kind of dealing with the situation that humanity has unleashed on the planet, that we create this next level of consciousness. And if we don't do that, I think we're going to be in very bad shape. How do we move towards a sustainable planetary civilization in a short period of time? And how do we make something positive and transformative out of it? What do we have to do to save the situation?